second session. In this, we will be talking about the UGC paper for June 2014 for geography. We will be discussing paper 2. We have already covered first 15 set of questions in the first part of this video. In this part, we will be covering the next 15 set of questions. So we'll start with the questions now. So the next question in line was, Mathematic Approach in geography emphasizes on. So I'll be shifting to the view. So here you can see it. Now the question asks, nomothetic approach in geography emphasizes upon. The answer would be empirical studies. Now let's understand why. What is nomothetic approach? Kant gave this concept, and under this concept, what he tried to say was, basically he tried to generalize, or he explained nomothetic approach as a tendency to generalize. So whenever we describe any effort that derives any law, what we try to explain is, we try to explain that phenomena in general or in a holistic manner. So that is what is nomothetic approach, and in this case the answer would be empirical studies or observational studies. We learn by seeing what is there, and it has a true objectivity in it. That means it is correct. The next question was again based on learning. So which of the following is not a correct match? So as we all know, first of it is a correct match. It's again from History of Geographical Thought. So Ibn Khaldun wrote Muqaddimah. Then Al-Biruni wrote Kitab al-Hind. And what was this Kitab al-Hind? Kitab al-Hind was a complete account of the historical and social conditions of Indian subcontinent. Then in the books on routes and reliefs, this was written by Ibn Khaldun. It was written by Ibn Khaldun. Okay, so he wrote the book on routes and reliefs, and under this book, in this book, he tried to explain the length of the earth and the breadth of the earth. Muqaddimah, as I said, was written by Ibn Khaldun, and in this book, he tried to explain introduction to the world and gave the various volumes of world history. And finally, Al-Balkhi wrote Kitabul al-Ashkal, and that was the first climatic atlas prepared by any geographer. Now the next question is matching the following. So which of the following concepts was developed by which geographer? You have to match that. So it's again based on learning or your knowledge. Let's see here. So as we see here, you have a list of 4 geographers and 4 concepts that came up. Now Hartshorne, as we all know, gave the concept of areal differentiation. So Hartshorne gave the concept of areal differentiation. Then you have Ritter, who gave the teleological approach. Then you have Schluter, who gave the concept of landscape science, which is called as Landskapskunde. And finally, Retzel, who gave 2 concepts. One was social Darwinism and another was Lebenshauerism. So Retzel gave the concept of social Darwinism. Then you have Schlutzer, who gave the concept of landscape science. And finally you have Ritter, who gave the teleological view. Okay. Now next question. This is again based on learning. So most of the questions this time in paper 2 were meant to memorize and were direct questions. So which of the following is the correct sequence of development of German geographical thought? So as we all know, the German geographical thought started with Peschel in this series. So Peschel was the first person. He was taken over. Peschel was taken over by Richthofen. Richthofen was taken over by Retzel. And then came Hettner. And finally, in the postmodernism period or the post-war period, there came trawl. So that was the correct sequence. So answer B is correct. The next question is a very direct question and a very famous and common question in geography. Who of the following gave the term cosmology and divided Earth into uranography and geography? Now the answer is Humboldt. So Humboldt was the first person to talk about cosmography, and he divided world into uranography and geography. Under this, geography dealt with the terrestrial part and uranography dealt with the astronomy or the astronomical aspects. Next is again a famous and a direct question. Who among the following wrote the book Nature on Geography? Now it is interesting to note this question is again repeated in paper 3. Nature of Geography was written by. So the answer is Richard Hudson. In 1959, he gave this book called as Nature of Geography. Now this question, there is a error with this question, or I should say student should get bonus marks in this question, because what the question is, net population change is determined by. Now the examiner has mentioned both A and C, but in reality it should be both A, B and C. Now let's understand, this is a question based on reasoning, on understanding. So let's understand this. What is net population change? Increase in population and decrease in population. So the change which is by increase and decrease would be counted towards net population change. We are talking about net change. Okay. So how will population increase? By fertility or birth rate. And how will it decrease? By mortality or death rate. So these two, A and C, are definitely part of it. Now how is migration part of it? So the correct answer in this case is D, but it should be technically A, B and C. So now how migration includes net population change. So migration is of two types, as we all know. It's immigration and emigration. Immigration is inward migration. That is, for example, this is India, and people coming into the country, it would be immigration. And it's a good way to remember is im. It starts with immigration, so im and in. So it's a common word, and e means going outwards. So going out of the country is outward migration or immigration. Now those people who are coming into the country and going out of the country, the difference of that would also accentuate to the net population change. Therefore, the correct answer should be all of the three. The next question is, so this is a question where students should get a bonus marks. The next question is a bit direct question. Rural house is an index of. Now in a rural area, people do not have much resources, okay? So whatever they use to make their houses or their dwellings, they usually use the things around them. So it's a rural house technically is an index of environment. So in a rural area which is lying in an icy area or a snow area, what would they do? They would make their houses tapering so that the snow or the ice runs off, or they will make the houses out of wood so that it does not become cold and it acts as an insulating factor. On the other hand, in desert area you will find flat top houses, and that flat top would help accumulation of water during rainy season, and that water could be later on utilized. So rural houses are technically an index of the environment. The next question talks about urban development and regional development as such. So the stages of inception and dynamics of urban growth referred to. What is meant by inception? Inception means birth to, or how does that originate? Okay, So therefore, the direct answer to this is factors which give rise to a city in a particular place. So inception means giving birth to or giving rise to. So inception, stage of inception in urban growth is what factors lead to the growth of urban area in that particular region. The next question is a very direct question and a very simple question based more on your general knowledge. So, which of the following is a means of transportation in tundras? Now, what is tundras? Tundras is a polar region, we all know. Tundras are the polar region. So, polar is ice covered. So, in ice, which of the following things can be used? Camel is an animal of desert. Okay. Donkeys and horses are mainly used to carry load or transport things from one place to another in primitive society. But sledge is a thing that is a kind of vehicle that is drawn by animals. Okay, and it has basically it can carry logs of woods and other stuffs. And what it does is it basically slides with the ice. So it's very convenient for you to transport things. So tundras, basically the most common method of transportation is sledge. Now this question is again based on your general knowledge. This question talks about development of Chennai-Bengaluru corridor is based on. Among the four choices, the correct answer would be automobile and IT industry. Now let me discuss this in a bit detail. Now, Chennai-Bengaluru project is a part of a mega infrastructure project that was started by Government of India. It includes some of the following countries with cities which are Chennai, then you have Bengaluru, Hospet, Sri Perumbadur, then you have Ranipet, Chittoor, and Banerpet. So in this, the main aim was to promote the trade between India and East Asia. So all these countries lying towards the east of India would be connected to it, and how that was by means of the Chennai and the Enron port near Chennai. So two major ports, and these ports would transport goods from India to abroad and vice versa. So this corridor mainly aims at automobile and IT. Besides that, it would include chemicals, petrochemicals, food processing, metallurgical industries. Then you have textiles and financial services would all be included in this. Okay. Now the next question is, of late, the major focus on urban industrial development is. This is a very conceptual question and a very tricky question. Now, read this question properly. Of late, the major focus in urban industrial development is on. Of late means recently. Okay. So here we are talking about something that is a recent trend in urban development. Now let's understand. Previously, what used to happen was, wherever there is an urban settlement, all the things used to develop within that region or around that region. So the development in old times, yeah, previous days was nodal, or I should say compact. But nowadays, what is happening? There has been a shift towards emergence of new clusters. And how does that happen? For example, if I find this place is rich in oil, we'll start to bring in people there for development of oil and harnessing. So it would become as a center of oil energy. Then I found another region where you can have a lot of IT people coming in and financial sectors being established. So what I will do is, there would be incoming of all technical people. So there would be a new cluster which would cater to IT and financial center. So you have areas developed in the Barmail, which has been developed by Crane Energy for harnessing oil. Then you have the Bangalore area, which has been developed as IT hub. Okay, so you have different clusters that are coming up, and it's not a nodal development. So the recent trend in urban development is about cluster development. The next question is, again a very simple and a direct question. The high level managerial and executive administration positions fall in the category of? So the correct answer is quaternary services. So quaternary sector describes the knowledge base of the economy. So it includes high-level managerial functions, executive functions, then you have information sharing, you have technology, consultancy, education and research, then you have financial planning and other knowledge-based services which are included in this sector. Primary deals directly with agriculture, secondary deals with manufacturing, and tertiary deals with activities which are not exactly high-level managerial, but they are basically service sector. So that is what is tertiary. Now let's discuss the next question. The next question talks about which of the following statements is correct. Now let's discuss each of these statements independently. Solar energy, wind, hydel power and biogas. So these are all renewable energies. The correct set is renewable energy. That means energy which can be reused again and again. So solar energy can be reused. Wind energy, hydel or water energy and biogas, which is from cow dung, can be reused again and again. Then you have the next statement. Dolomite is used as a refractory material and flux in iron and steel industry. That's perfectly correct statement because dolomite is used in iron and steel industry and it's mainly acts as a refractory raw material and a flux that is left out in the process of manufacturing. Then finally, most of the coal that was found was during the period of was during the previous periods or the olden eras, but just the lignite and the low grade bituminous came recently or in the quaternary period. So all the three statements in this case are correct. The next question talks about the three basics of the model that was given by Ullmann. So Edward Ullmann gave three concepts which led to the formation of basis for spatial interaction, and those three processes were complementarity, transferability and intervening opportunity. That means if there is a place A and place B, if there is an intervening opportunity or an opportunity that conflicts or is in between the two, the person might shift to the intervening opportunity. Then he can transfer from one place to another and it should be complementary. Complementary means one can be substituted for other. For example, example of complementary good is which goes with another. For example, tea and sugar. So these go together. So whenever you want to make tea, you would need sugar or you would need milk. So that's a kind of complementary which go one with the another. Now the final question, which of the following is a correct statement? Now this is about the world geography and Japan. Japan is one of the leading industrial countries of the world. Why? Which of the following statements is correct? Now, as we all know, Japan has high technological development. That's a correct statement, definitely. And Japan has a lot of tidal power because it's an island surrounded by water on all sides. The only incorrect options in this case are metallic minerals and insular location. Japan does not have a lot of metallic minerals, and again it does not have a insular location or a isolated location, I should say. So these are the questions that we have talked about today. So we have discussed 16 of these questions. In the next set, we would be discussing the remaining questions, the remaining 19 questions of the series. So stay tuned for us for the final part where we would be discussing more about what are the major questions in paper 3, what are the important questions, and as per the trend we can see most of the questions are direct, a few of them were conceptual and few of the questions were like those where you could secure bonus marks. Hope you enjoyed the session. Stay tuned for the next topic and have a good day ahead.